If you are planning to take that beautiful, crusty loaf of leftover artisanal bread you bought this morning.
Yeah, the really good stuff.
Right, the really good stuff. And you're planning to put it in the refrigerator tonight to, keep it fresh. I need you to stop right now.
Absolutely. Step away from the fridge.
Seriously, do not open that fridge door because by putting it in the cold, you are actively chemically destroying it.
You're ruining it.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are completely dismantling everything you thought you knew about cooking.
We really are.
When you close your eyes and picture a high-end professional kitchen, there is like a very specific image that usually comes to mind, right?
Oh, yeah. Very cinematic.
Exactly. It's romantic. You see the head chef, eyes closed, tasting a sauce from a wooden spoon.
Making that tiny intuitive adjustment.
Right. A pinch of salt here, a dash of wine there. We have this deep-seated cultural expectation that cooking is fundamentally a purely creative art form.
We think it's spontaneous, driven by passion.
But today, we are cracking open a document that just shatters that illusion into 1,000 pieces.
It really does. It takes that whole romantic image, pulls back the curtain, and strips the entire culinary world right down to its molecular foundation.
Exactly. We are diving deep into the TESDA NC2 Cookery Prep Manual.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, the listener, right up front, we are not looking at this as just some boring list of recipes.
No, not at all. There are no recipes for, like, a perfect Sunday roast in here.
No. We are treating this as the secret foundational rule book of professional kitchens. Because what the source material reveals is that what we call culinary art is actually a brutally strict, unforgiving discipline of biology, chemistry, and physics.
Yeah. I mean, it is a controlled laboratory environment that just happens to produce something delicious at the end.
Well put.
And the journey we're going to take you on today maps exactly to that reality. We'll start at the microscopic level, decoding how professionals keep us safe from biological threats.
The invisible stuff.
Right. Then we'll move to the stove and master the volatile thermodynamics of heat. We'll explore the literal animal anatomy required for perfect cooking, uncover the structural engineering involved in cold dishes, and finally,
the best part.
we are going to submit to the absolute tyranny of baking mathematics.
I love that phrase so much. The absolute tyranny of baking mathematics. It just sets the stakes perfectly.
It's the truth.
It is. And before we get into the weeds of this laboratory, I want to ask you, the listener, to do something. Think about your own kitchen at home. Think about your habits when you make dinner.
Be honest with yourself.
Yeah, be honest. As we go through these strict scientific rules today, I want you to keep a running tally in your head of how many of these hidden laws of physics and biology you are bringing every single day without even realizing it.
Going to be a high number.
Because honestly, reading through this, I realized I was breaking at least half of them on a daily basis.
I think most people are. I mean, the home kitchen is a place of comfort, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But the professional kitchen is a place of strict threat mitigation. Before a chef can even begin to think about creating culinary art, they must first ensure they aren't accidentally creating a biological hazard.
Right. It is the absolute baseline of professional cooking. If the food isn't safe, nothing else matters. You don't get Michelin stars for giving your guests food poisoning.
No, you get shut down.
Exactly. And the source lays this out brilliantly by categorizing the threats right at the start. It introduces this concept of PCB.
Right. Physical, chemical, and biological contaminants.
That acronym, PCB.
It is the mental framework every single person in a commercial kitchen operates under from the moment they clock in. It's a constant, ongoing triage of risk assessment.
I was reading this and I couldn't help but compare it to like a high-tech security system. Think about it like you are guarding a bank.
I like that analogy.
Right. So the physical threats, the P and PCB, those are the intruders you could actually see on the security cameras. The manual gives examples like hair, glass, or a piece of metal from a broken whisk.
Yeah, these are tangible objects that physically fall into the food. They're dangerous, absolutely.
Right. Nobody wants glass in their salad.
A piece of shattered glass is a catastrophic failure of physical safety. But they are overt. You can understand exactly how a piece of glass got there, and you can visually identify it and extract it.
So the solution is straightforward.
Exactly. Straightforward observation and physical barriers.
Okay. Then you have the C, the chemical threats. In our security system analogy, this is the inside job.
The betrayal from within.
Exactly. The source specifically points to cleaning supplies and toxins. These are the very liquids that are supposed to keep the kitchen clean and safe, but if handled incorrectly, they become the poison.
Right. It's the bleach that splashes into the soup, or, the heavy-duty degreaser that isn't wiped off this stainless steel prep table before you put a piece of fish down.
Oh, that's a scary thought. Which brings us to the B, the biological threats. And these are the most terrifying because they are the invisible ghosts.
You can't see them on the camera.
You can't taste them, you can't smell them until it is far too late. The source explicitly defines these as microscopic threats, primarily bacteria and viruses.
And these invisible ghosts have a favorite hangout spot. The manual calls them PHFs.
Potentially hazardous foods. Now, when I first read that, I pictured something exotic, like fugu blowfish or some rare toxic mushroom.
Right, something dramatic.
But the list of PHFs is incredibly mundane. Meat, dairy, cooked rice. Why are these everyday items considered the most hazardous? Why is cooked rice a threat?
It comes down to the fundamental biological needs of bacteria. To multiply, a bacterial cell needs an environment that provides sustenance and hydration.
Okay.
The source explains that these potentially hazardous foods are high in moisture and high in protein or complex carbohydrates. That combination creates the perfect 5-star luxury resort for bacteria to breed.
Wow, a luxury resort.
Think about a grain of rice. In its raw state, it is dry and hard, but when you boil it, it absorbs water. It essentially becomes a hydrated sponge full of easily digestible starches.
So it's a massive buffet for a microscopic organism.
Exactly.
It is wild to think of a bowl of leftover rice sitting on the counter not as a late-night snack, but as an active, thriving breeding ground.
It really changes how you look at leftovers.
It does. And this concept of the breeding ground connects directly to the environment. The manual introduces a very rigid boundary, the 40-degree Fahrenheit rule.
Right.
It states that anything above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly 4 degrees Celsius, enters the danger zone.
The danger zone is a phrase you will hear shouted in kitchens around the world. And the science behind it is simple but absolute.
Walk us through it.
Below 40 degrees, bacteria are sluggish. They are dormant. The cold doesn't necessarily kill them, but it drastically slows their metabolic processes.
So they aren't reproducing fast enough to hurt us.
Right. They are not reproducing at a rate that will harm a human being. But the moment that temperature gauge ticks above 40 degrees, the microscopic switch flips. They basically wake up and begin to multiply rapidly.
I want to walk through a real-world scenario with this, because this is where I realized I was making a huge mistake at home.
Let's hear it.
Let's say you have a frozen chicken breast. It's a solid block of ice. The bacteria on it are totally frozen in place. You need to thaw it for dinner.
Okay.
The instinct for a lot of home cooks is just to leave it on the kitchen counter all day before they leave for work. But according to the text, that is essentially playing Russian roulette. Why is that so dangerous if the chicken is frozen solid?
Because of the way ambient heat transfers into a solid mass. The air in your kitchen is, say, 70 degrees.
Yeah, room temp.
That heat hits the outside of the chicken first. So the surface of that chicken reaches room temperature and enters the danger zone hours before the dense, icy core of the chicken thaws.
So the outside becomes that perfect high moisture resort you mentioned, while the inside is still a literal glacier.
Precisely. And while you are at work, the bacteria on the surface of the chicken throw a massive exponential party for 6 hours.
Oh, gross.
By the time you get home, and the center is finally soft, the surface is teeming with a dangerous bacterial load. That is why the manual lists 4, and only 4, recognized safe methods for thawing frozen foods.
Okay, let's go through them because this is highly practical for the listener.
Number 1, you can thaw it in the refrigerator. This is the slowest but safest method.
Because of the temperature, right?
Yes. The ambient temperature of the fridge stays below 40 degrees. It provides just enough thermal energy to slowly melt the ice crystals over 24 hours, but it never lets the surface of the meat cross into the danger zone.
Okay. Number 2, you can use a microwave.
Yes. A microwave bombards the water molecules in the meat with radiation, causing them to vibrate and generate heat rapidly.
So it's about speed.
Exactly. It blasts the meat through the danger zone so fast the bacteria literally don't have the time to react and multiply before the meat is ready to be cooked.
Number 3, cool running water. Now, this one always confused me. Why does the water have to be running? Why can't I just put the chicken in a bowl of cold water and leave it in the sink?
Because if the water is stagnant, the chicken will eventually cool the water down, and then the ambient room temperature will warm the water up, creating a lukewarm bath.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that lukewarm bath puts the chicken right back in the danger zone. Cool running water continuously pulls the thermal energy away from the chicken, slowly thawing it. while the constant introduction of new cold water ensures the surface temperature never spikes.
That makes total sense. It's about continuous thermal exchange. And the fourth method.
Thawing it is part of the cooking process itself, taking a frozen hamburger patty and throwing it directly onto a hot grill.
Just bypassing the thaw entirely.
You bypass the danger zone entirely by going straight to lethal heat.
Okay, let's pivot slightly because I want to push back on a visual that we all heavily associate with food safety.
Sure.
When you go to a deli or you see workers on a prep line assembling salads, they're almost always wearing those clear plastic gloves. There is this powerful psychological illusion that gloves equal perfect hygiene.
It's a huge illusion.
Right. I mean, I feel better when I see someone wearing gloves. If the worker is wearing plastic, the food must be completely safe. But the source material completely dismantles this sense of security, doesn't it?
It shatters the illusion entirely. The text is very clear. Gloves should absolutely not be used as a substitute for hand washing.
Wait, really?
Really. All a glove does is create a synthetic barrier between human skin and the food. But the surface of that plastic glove interacts with the biological environment exactly the same way human skin does.
So if I touch a piece of raw chicken with a gloved hand,
The bacteria transfer right onto the plastic. And if you then turn around and use that same gloved hand to grab a handful of lettuce for a salad, you have just cross-contaminated the lettuce.
oh, wow.
The glove didn't magically sanitize the chicken juice. It just transferred it. A dirty glove is functionally identical to a dirty hand.
But here is where the text gets really interesting and honestly a little mathematically terrifying. Even if you aren't switching between raw chicken and fresh lettuce, the source dictates a very specific time limit.
Yes, the 4-hour rule.
Right. Gloves must be changed every 4 hours during continuous use or as soon as they become soiled or torn. Why 4 hours? Is that just an arbitrary number based on a typical work shift?
Not at all. It is strictly rooted in the mathematics of biological exponential growth. The source notes that 4 hours is the exact window it takes for bacteria to multiply to dangerous, illness-causing levels on a surface at room temperature.
Walk me through that math. What is actually happening on the surface of that glove over 4 hours?
Bacteria reproduce through a process called binary fission. One cell splits into two. Those two split into four.
Okay, so it doubles.
Exactly. If a single bacterium gets on that glove at hour 0, it splits into 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. At first, the numbers are small.
Right, at hour 1, you wouldn't even notice.
But because it is exponential, the curve starts to spike aggressively.
Yeah.
By the time you hit hour 4, that exponential curve has launched into the millions.
It is a literal invisible time bomb. Every time a chef puts on a pair of gloves, a 4-hour countdown timer starts ticking above their head.
And that timer only resets when the gloves are thrown away, the hands are properly washed with soap and water, and a brand new pair of gloves is put on.
Which highlights a critical mindset. Hygiene isn't a state of being. You aren't just clean for the day.
No, hygiene is an active, ongoing battle against an enemy that is constantly multiplying.
Which brings us to the weapons used in that battle, cleaning and sanitization. Now, I always assumed these were the same thing. You spray the soapy stuff, you wipe down the counter, and you're done.
Most people think that.
But the source highlights a surprising multi-step rule. When sanitizing a prep area, you must thoroughly rinse off the detergent first. You cannot just spray sanitizer on top of soap.
No, you absolutely cannot.
I don't understand this. Why can't I just mix them in one bucket, wipe the table once, and save myself 10 minutes of labor?
This is where we shift from biology into chemistry. People use the words cleaning and sanitizing interchangeably in daily life, but chemically, they are two completely different operations performing entirely different tasks.
Okay, break that down for me.
Detergent is a surfactant. Its chemical job is to break the molecular bonds of grease and dirt. It lifts the physical grime off the surface so it can be washed away.
Okay, so detergent handles the visible dirt, the physical threat.
Exactly. Sanitizer, on the other hand, is a chemical agent designed solely to rupture the cell walls of biological entities, the bacteria we just talked about.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't care about dirt, it cares about microscopic pathogens.
So why can't they work together? Why can't I mix them?
Because of chemical-friendly fire. The text explains that if the surfactant chemicals from the